We all see things different. Some prioritize and some don't. Accountability can only be given if you actually try it in the first place. As a parent, we all make mistakes. This is a normal way of life. Usually when mistakes happen, we learn from them. We try to fix it or talk it over. But continuing to make the same mistake over and over again is no longer a mistake, it's a choice. That becomes a decision. Those decisions that you made ultimately took my daughter's life. Because you decided that you didn't want to parent and listen to your son. You took the right away for me to be a mother. You do not get to decide that. You do not get those privileges. You are not above anyone. I love being a mom. It's the one thing that I'm truly great at. You cared more about your well-being than the one life that you should put above anyone, your child. And because of that, you both took 4 beautiful children away from this world. Being a parent is the part of life that you should hold to the highest level. It's an honor to be a mother or a father. Even when you think you have done your best, you continue to do more. Unfortunately, you never made it to level 1. You say you wouldn't do anything different. Well, that really says on what type of parents you are, because there's a lot of things I would do different. But the one thing I would have wanted to be different was to take that bullet that day so she could continue to live the life she deserved. You show no remorse, no respect or compassion for our family. The same traits that you've bestowed upon your son. The traits that have torn my family into pieces.
To the victims and the families, I stand today not to ask for your forgiveness, as I know it may be beyond reach, but to express my sincerest apologies for the pain that has been caused. Your Honor, I don't envy you in the decision you have to make today. I understand the punishment expectations are high from all sides. This heartbreaking journey families have endured is more than anyone should have to bear and acknowledge in its full depth. My time in confinement has been filled with deep remorse, regret, and grief over this tragedy. I have taken this one day at a time, trying to survive, navigate, and cope with the endless heartache, pain, and grief I feel for the families of Hannah, Justin, Madison, and Tate. I have also lost myself over my son's wrongdoing. I've been shredded by the public opinion of me, shamed as a horrible parent, pained to be a terrible person. But the worst hell I carry is my own self-judgment, remorse, and deep regret.
The advisory sentencing guidelines in this matter do not capture the catastrophic impact of the acts or inaction in these matters. The guidelines do not take into account the complete lack of insight both defendants have for their behavior to this very day. The guidelines do not account for the severity of the circumstances in this matter. The guidelines ignore the survivors, including shooting victims Phoebe Arthur, Elijah Mueller, Riley Franz, Kylie Osage, John Asciutto, Molly Darnell, and Aiden Watson. They were deeply wounded, both physically and emotionally. In addition to the 7 wounded, each of the defendants' gross negligence has caused unimaginable suffering to hundreds of others as a result of what happened that day. Each act or inaction created a ripple effect. Therefore, an out-of-guidelines sentence is appropriate and proportional. The court uses the useful tool of the legislative guidelines, which embody the principles of proportionality, while also taking into account the nature of the offense and the background of each defendant. I believe that the following sentences would be in the best interest of justice and are reasonable and proportionate to the seriousness of the matter and the circumstances surrounding each defendant. With regard to Jennifer Crumley, it is the sentence of this court, Ms. Crumley, that you serve 10 to 15 years with the Michigan Department of Corrections. You will have credit for 858 days. State costs are $272. There's a crime victims' rights fee of $130. You and your agents may not have any contact with the families of Madison Baldwin, Tate Meir, Hannah St. Juliana, and Justin Schilling. I will issue another ruling with regard to contact with your son, the shooter. Excuse me. As to defendant James Crumbley, it is the sentence of this court that you serve 10 to 15 years with the Michigan Department of Corrections, that you receive credit for 858 days, that you pay state costs in the matter of $272, that there is a crime victim's rights fee of $130, that you or your agents have no contact with the families of Madison Baldwin, Tate Meir, Hannah St. Juliana, and Justin Schilling.
Major development in that courtroom, the judge sentencing Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley to 10 to 15 years in prison, which is precisely what prosecutors wanted the judge to do. I want to go straight to Jean Casares, who has been following this trial since the beginning. Jean.
Well, the judge, in pronouncing this decision, said, first of all, this is not a case about guns. It's not about guns in the private home. It's about repeated actions over and over and over again by the parents that amounted to gross negligence. That the father, James Crumbley, allowed access to that gun to his son. That the mother, Jennifer Crumbley, glorified it. And at the school meeting that day, the morning 2 hours before the mass shooting, when they were shown these math drawings of bullets and blood everywhere, my life is useless. She said, is this over? And just wanted to get back to work. She said it was very stark, the non-caring aspect of this. And also when Jennifer testified that she would not have done anything differently, she said it may have been misunderstood, but it really, really had a stark, stark reaction amongst the victims. She said the guidelines were not enough. So right there, because the guidelines for these crimes were 4 to 7 years, so you knew something else was coming. The judge said she'd prayed about this. She was up nights worrying about this, thinking about the fact that there is rehabilitation that needs to be done for these victims, but also deterrence so that no one else in this country would do something like this. They have to see that. And then she pronounced the sentence, 10 to 15 years. 15 years is the maximum for this offense.
I want to go to Renato Mariotti as well on this. Renato, I know you, forgive me, I don't think Renato is ready yet. Jean, I just want to put this in context. You have covered, unfortunately, your fair share of trials, particularly when it comes to shootings and even and especially school shootings. The fact that the parents are being held culpable, in this case by involuntary or for involuntary manslaughter. Again, they were already convicted of that, but that they are going to be sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison for that culpability. How significant is this moment?
Absolutely so significant. Prosecutors around the country are watching this case. They are looking at this case. When I interviewed Karen McDonald shortly after the conviction, I said, do you believe that this is precedent setting for other prosecutors in this country to follow suit of what you did? Her response was, they need to ask the question, where did the gun come from? Regarding the minor child, where did it come from? That can launch the investigation right now. And I think that in regard to gun violence, prosecutors are looking at this because someone needs to be responsible. And if you have a minor child and you have a gun in your home knowing there's a minor child and it is not locked, it is sitting around, it is loaded, and something happens, there have been cases where there is child neglect charges for a parent, but not homicide. This is what makes this case stand out from any other case that has been brought before in this country.